Dude, you talk about a great, first time. It was a phenomenal fight. And Justin Gaethje was doing great in that fight. He was eating up Dustin Poirier's legs, giving him a lot of problems. Dustin Poirier was having moments where, the straight punches he was throwing was getting there faster than the looping shots of Gaethje at times. And it really, both of them showed big balls. We were just talking about cows and bulls. Well, they just showed big balls in that fight. And it was just a matter of, Dustin's power. Dustin's got good power. He really does. He's got snap on his shots, and he just got to Justin before Justin was able to get to him, because it was just a war of attrition for both. Who was going to be the one that was going to get that shot that was going to do the damage first? Because the kicks on both parts, I think you're going to see both guys trying to adjust. I think you're going to see Justin doing what he did with Fiziev in trying to say, I'm not going to accept as much damage as I allowed to have happen. And I think Dustin Poirier is going to do the same thing. He's going to take away, especially those inside leg kicks that he was getting blasted with. It was doing a lot of damage to him. It's taking away his base. It's taking away his foundation. You can't have that, because then the power does diminish, and you're throwing shots, but they're just not having the effect. So I think both guys are going to adjust on it. But Josh, in the end, both guys are dogs. Both guys are just savages that, you know what? Eventually, they're both going to bite down and just throw and go after it. And one of them is going to end up hurting the other, and that's going to be your winner. It's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 fight. 100% it is. The tendency is to obviously go with the guy who won the first fight, because just mentally they feel like, I've already won. I've already have a win against you. The adjustments you make, you're not going to change that much. But that's where my argument will lie, is that Justin Gaethje has changed a lot since that first fight.
Especially
He is a
in
more
his last
patient
fight.
fighter. Yeah,
Especially
his last couple
fight.
fights. His last couple fights, he's been very patient. Who was his last fight? Justin, or it was Fiziev, and then it was Chandler before that, right?
Yeah, but see, the Chandler fight, I'm going to give it this. I thought Justin fought. That's right. He fought he fought Chandler, then Charles, and lost.
Yeah.
But you take a look at that. The Fiziev fight is the one that you can really look at, because Fiziev's stand up and the way that he goes after fighters, that leads you into that, I'm going to bite down and throw back. And many times when that opportunity was there, Justin circled out. Justin reset. Justin came back at him. And I think that was one of the differences of why he won the fight. He just fought a much smarter fight.
Well, I go back to the Chandler fight. That's where I went back to, because he started fighting smart in that fight. He was able to touch Chandler whenever he wanted, and when he did, he didn't go chasing after it. Because Chandler is one of those guys that I expected the two of them to meet in the middle and just stand and bang. And that's not what happened.
Oh,
they did a little bit, but
they did.
No, Justin. No.
My
God.
they
did. You can say they did, but when I look back at that fight, though, Justin made the adjustments of throwing, stepping off line a little bit, and then re-throwing again, not standing directly in front of him. When he fought Dustin the first time, he stood directly in front of him and just traded. That's not what he did in the Chandler fight. We started to see the evolution of Justin in the Chandler fight. That was like kind of the first fight. I felt like he understood he had to make the adjustments. And then understanding that, like, he lost to Charles, coming back and getting his win against Fiziev. He fought a great fight, an even better version of this new Justin than he did in the Chandler fight. The Charles fight just didn't go his way. Literally once he got taken down, or once his back got taken, you're dealing with the best submission guy in the UFC at the time, or still now. So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, look, he made a mistake. That's what cost him the fight. But look, then he went on to fight Fiziev. He fought a very smart fight. He's got a better version of when he fought Michael Chandler. And I look at what's going to happen in this fight. I think he's going to land the big shots, create a little angle, and then maybe start to throw again. Whereas before, he would stand directly in front of you. You go back to the Eddie Alvarez fight. He rocked Eddie, and then he let Eddie hang on his head. And then Eddie then knee him to the body, then knee him to the face, and then uppercut him. Those are all things that happen to you when you're standing directly in front of someone and making it a dog fight toe-to-toe. And I don't think he's going to do that this time. I think he's going to create angles. I think if he does get clipped with something, he's going to take a step back and circle out. I don't think he's going to just bite down on his mouthpiece and get after it. There's too much at stake. Like he said in his last fight, in his post-fight interview, he said, I'm going to make one more run at the title. And I don't have much left in me. So that lets you know that he understands how important this is to get to that title again.
But there's one element you're missing in this. And this is the difference in this fight when I look at it. I love Justin Gaethje. He is the human highlight reel. He is absolutely exceptional to watch as far as what he brings to the cage and his tenacity and the way he goes after a fight. But I want you to tell me, name the last 3 fights that he's lost. Charles Oliveira, he lost, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And the one before that?
Khabib.
Okay. And now both of those.
He lost to Khabib before that, and then he lost to.
Both of those. How did he lose? Come on. Submission.
By submission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dustin Poirier is a good submission fighter. Dustin Poirier is good on the ground. And if you're Dustin Poirier, you can go and look back and say, why am I going to sit here and try to outdo someone in this realm? I'll do the same thing I did with, Chandler, to the point, given the opportunity, I'm going to go after putting him on his back, and I'm going to go after putting a submission on him. That's where I see that we have a big difference in who we are. If you're Dustin Poirier, you got to look and say, I'm way better on the ground than Justin Gaethje. He's got wrestling, but it's not the wrestling that when he was a kid. He's a different person now, and he's a stand-up fighter. Now he can defensively, stop a lot of wrestling maneuvers. But when he hits the ground, let's be honest, Josh, he's not the same fighter. And when you take a look at the person he's fighting, Dustin Poirier many times has proven, hey, I'll go to the submission game, and he's got good submissions. Dustin almost submitted Khabib. I'm not saying Khabib was going to tap, but I'll tell you what, he did a lot to get himself out of a guillotine that was on and tight. And if he can do that to Khabib, he can definitely do that to Justin.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't see Justin's head being down there. Khabib's head's down there trying to get takedowns. I understand. I get what you're saying. I do agree with you that Dustin is the better grappler.
I think Dustin's going to look for the takedowns.
I don't think Dustin's the better wrestler.
He's not the better wrestler, but it's not wrestling. It's MMA. And there's differences in what, how many times have you seen guys that are phenomenal wrestlers that get taken down by guys who couldn't wrestle at all as far as comparative, and they get the takedown?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I don't see this fight really going to the ground a whole lot. I can see Dustin maybe threatening it here and there. I don't see this fight going to the ground a whole lot. I think that Justin's going to make it this is what I really believe. There was I watched a little bit of the 24/7 on the fight, and I think Justin's been working a little bit on his wrestling. There was a lot of segments in there where he was focused on talking about his past in wrestling, talking about how he came up as a wrestler. I feel like he understands, look, the times that he's fought for the title, it's because he got his back taken, or because he got taken down and just dominated and then gave his back. Like or gave up a triangle or whatever it was. He gave up positions by losing on the ground. I think that if he's going to make this last run, like he's talked about, I think he understands that he needs to go back to the drawing board and reinvent this last run. If you want to reinvent this last run, you need to spend more time with your back against the wall. You need to spend more time with your back on the canvas. You need to spend more time, stepping in the center there of the mat and then learning how to defend takedowns in open mat. And I really believe that he has that goal. Look, when he came from the World Series of Fighting, I was like, man, this kid's tough. I don't think he's going to be good, though. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to get to that next level. And then, they had, after his fight with Michael Johnson, I'm like, damn, I knew you were tough, but then, then I saw him progress, and I just saw like he could just take damage. He could deliver a lot of damage. And I was like, but then I also came out publicly and I said some stuff on Twitter. I go, look, I love watching this kid fight. He's fun. You can tell he's got a good heart. You know, I recall a lot of things that Dana White had said. He goes, look, a lot of fighters call me when it's their title shot and say, I need tickets for these people. I need tickets for these people. And I need rooms for these people. And they start demanding shit when they get their title shot. He's like, all Justin did was demand. He's like, could you please just make sure my parents are there? Mm-hmm. Like, that lets you know where his priorities are. That lets you know that he's a good kid. That lets you know that he understands what's important in his life. And I think when he said, I'm going to make one more run at the title and just let's see what happens, I think he reevaluated everything he's done in his career, saying, look, I don't have much time. So I'm going to go back to the wrestling. I'm going to go back to the jiu-jitsu. I'm going to go back to doing all these things that I knew where I've come up short and make those adjustments. I believe in him, man. I believe he's a good kid. I believe that he's got a lot to offer the sport. I understand what you're saying, but I think you're going to see a lot smarter. Like we said when we started this conversation, John, it's a 50-50 fight. Even if there is takedowns, even if there is wrestling, even if there is all these things, this is a 50-50 fight no matter what. So both of them have to be on their A game. If one guy is off by 2 or 3%, it's over. The other guy's going to win. That's just how it's going to go. Because there was moments in that fight where Dustin was hurt with the inside leg kicks. He was hurt on the feet. There was moments in that fight. And then at the end, it was Dustin who came out on top. But man, it was back and forth. I think we're going to see a smarter, more calculated Justin. It's going to give, I think, Dustin even more problems in this fight. I don't think it's going to be a barn burner like everyone thinks. I think it's going to be a lot more calculated. There will be some exchanges in there, but I just feel like Justin's going to fight a lot smarter, and it's going to be as a little bit slower paced fight. It won't be like the first fight.
100% agree.